By the end of this tutorial, you will have 3 text field designs: a username style text field that has an automatic prefix and character counter, a command line style text field with a black background, white text and a thick cursor, and a password style text field that lets you either hide or show the input. Let's code it from scratch. We start off with the default code of a new Flutter project. I'll go ahead and change the title of this app, clear the comments from this app, and remove some of the code so that we remain with only a blank scaffold. Next, we will create the body property of this scaffold where we are going to put a container whose height will be the screen height and whose width will be the screen width. In the decoration property, we will put a box decoration with a linear gradient with 2 colors, white and blue with a shade of 200. This gradient will begin at the top left and end at the bottom right. The child of this container will be a centered column whose main axis alignment will be set to center. The first child of this column will be a text widget that says username style with a text style to increase its font size, and after that we will have a sized box for spacing. Next, we will have a sized box whose width will be 200 pixels, and this is where we will put the username style text field. The child of this sized box will be a text field. We will set the max length property to 10 so that we can limit the number of input characters to 10 and at the same time show the character counter. For the decoration property, we will have an input decoration. For the counter style property, we will have a text style that sets the color of the counter text to blue. For the prefix text, we will have an @sign. For the enabled border property, we will have an outline input border whose border radius will be 40 pixels and the border side will be gray in color with a width of 5 pixels. For the focused border property, we will also have an outline input border with a border radius of 40 and a border side which is blue in color and has a width of 5 pixels. After the sized box whose parent is this text field, we will have a sized box for spacing, then a text widget that says CLI style with a text style to set its font size to 18. Next, we will have a sized box for spacing, then a sized box whose width will be 200 pixels, and this is where we will have our command line style text field. The child of this sized box will be a text field. We will set the cursor width to 10 pixels and the cursor color to white. For the style property, we will have a text style that sets the color of the input text to white and sets the letter spacing at 3 pixels. For the decoration property, we will have an input decoration. Here we will set the field property to true and the fill color to black. For the border property, we will have an outline input border with a border radius of 30 pixels. For the focused border property, we will also have an outline input border with a border radius of 30 pixels and no border side. After the sized box whose child is our text field, we will have a sized box for spacing and a text widget that says password style with a text style to set its font size to 18. Next, we will have a sized box for spacing, then a sized box with a width of 200 pixels where we will have our password style text field. The child of this sized box will be a text field. To enable us to switch between the password being visible and being hidden, we need to create a boolean which we will call hide password. We will set the obscure text property of this text field to our boolean. Next, we will set our obscuring character as an asterisk. For the style property, we will have a text style that sets the font size at 30 pixels, the letter spacing at 5 pixels, and the font weight at 600. For the decoration property, we will have an input decoration. We will set the field property to true and the fill color to white. For the suffix property, we will have an icon button. Here we are going to use a ternary function to decide the icon that will be displayed. If hide password is true, we will use icons.visibility, otherwise we will use icons.visibility off. In the onPressed property, we are going to use a setState function to flip the value of the hide password boolean. For the border property, we are going to have an outline input border with a border radius of 10 pixels. Let's save for formatting, and we are done writing our code. Let's run this app to see what it looks like. And our app has now been built. Let's scroll the code to the section where we have code for our first text field. You can see we have a counter that allows a maximum of 10 characters. Also, we have an automatic prefix @sign, and our border turns blue when the text field is active. Let's now check out the code for the CLI style text field. You can see that we have a thick white cursor and our text is white in color with more generous letter spacing. Also, the background color of this text field is black and there is no special border that shows up when the text field is active. Let's now scroll to the code for the password style text field. You can see that by default our input is obscured using the asterisk character. And when we click on this icon here, it flips between the password password being visible and being hidden. So those are 3 ways to design a text field in Flutter. If you have enjoyed this video and found value in it, give it a thumbs up and send it to someone who might find it useful as well. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel with the notifications turned on so that you get notified every time I upload a new video.